Hi everyone. Today I'm going to read a column that was written in April 1986, The Onslaught of Spring. I'm not so dumb I can't recognize signs of spring when I trip over them. They're all around me today, migrating geese and swans, singing red-winged blackbirds, the mass of mud in the yard, and of course the number one sign of spring are slightly urgent trips to the doctor. If you ever observe the behavior of escaped wild animals, you can just imagine the deranged actions of our children when they were finally allowed to frolic outside after a winter of captivity. Our kids didn't know what to tackle first. They wanted to ride their bikes, play ball, fly kites, and climb trees all at the same time. A craziness that almost had a bike up a tree. To make things more difficult over the winter, everyone forgot how to ride their bikes, play ball, fly kites, and climb trees without killing themselves. The fun this year began with disintegrating kites. I tried to explain that a gale force wind wasn't made for kites. No one listened to me until 3 kites were dashed to the ground and ripped to shreds. But at least the kids didn't physically damage each other during this playtime. Damage to bodies started when the 4 kids were playfully wrestling. Someone accidentally stuck a finger up Rebecca's nose and caused a gush of blood. Nothing serious. Bike riding came next. Becky, also called Rebecca now, Becky, her nosebleed cured, wiped out on her two-wheeler while rolling down a hill without benefit of feet on pedals. Mothers get the pleasure of all the crying, blood, and of course an unobstructed view of the emergency room. Luckily, Becky only had a sprained wrist and a half-dozen abrasions. She could have broken her little neck. That was the first warm day of the year, but the second was no better. Russell was our victim that day. I was in the house taking a much-needed nap after chaperoning 5th and 6th graders on a field trip to a nature preserve. Funny how screaming and flowing blood jars a person awake. Russell had been playing by the barn and knocked a glass out of an old window. Exactly how is still a mystery. Robbie and Russell's testimony never quite meshed. Anyway, Russell was dirty, upset, and in need of first aid. He wanted help, but didn't want anyone to touch him. As I tried to calm him and myself, I telephoned the doctor. Again, we were lucky. Russell's hand will mend by itself. What's next? Who's going to fall out of a tree? What child is going to get bopped by a baseball, struck by an occupied swing? Accidents are bound to come. The only way they could be avoided would be to put the kids in solitary confinement in padded rooms. Maybe it would be better if I reserved such a room for myself. Russell still has a scar on his hand from that cut he got from the broken window pane, and I don't know if I ever really got an explanation for how that accident happened from either of the boys. Maybe they'll tell me today after they look at this or listen to this column. I don't know for sure. But there you have all the fun of living in the country with active children. And they made it to adulthood. Isn't that great? They survived. I hope you have a great day and come back again for one of my columns from the distant past. Until then.